Welcome everyone to Team Yap, the Pokemon podcast, April Fool's edition. This is our second episode, and I am one of your co-hosts, Chris Lavalette.
And I am your other co-host, Emily Brewer. And I'm very excited to be here for this jokester edition of Team Yap, which is really mostly going to be a continuation of the things we couldn't yap about last time because we yapped too much. And then the star of the show is doing a back and forth on all of our Pokemon fails that have happened to us throughout the years.
As experience as much Pokemon as we have, there's bound to be some very depressing moments.
Unfortunately. And one of those depressing moments happened to me last night, which I have not told Chris about yet. So
I am looking forward to that.
And I have looked at your notes, your old notes, not your new notes. And I think that they might be semi-similar. So I'm excited to tell you about that. But we'll wait till the end. And we'll start by yapping a little bit about the Shadow Mewtwo event that happened this weekend.
Just this past weekend, over the holiday weekend of Easter, of course. And so a great time to get people out of their homes, walking around, catching Pokemon, and away from their families.
Thanks, Niantic.
But no, it was a good, fun time. Still got out, and there was a decent amount of people still walking around. I mean, we got out on Saturday, not Sunday, so... Yep. For being local-only raids, it was pretty insane, the turnout.
I was really impressed by how many folks we saw. And that's one of the really cool things, I think, about the Burlington, Vermont Pokemon Go community is, we kind of mentioned this last time, but it's alive and well, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Our very first raid, there was only 4 of us at the park, and then suddenly there's 20 people jumping into the raid.
Yeah, and there was a little bit of chatter in the Discord about we're going to Pomeroy Park, let's who's coming, and so we go, and I was expecting a couple people, and there were a couple people, and then like you said, all of a sudden you see this mass of people walking up the sidewalk,
almost like World War Z coming down the sidewalk.
Literally like World War Z, because they were walking like zombies because all their heads were down looking at their Pokemon Go on their phones, which was hilarious. But I kept saying to it was me, Chris, 2 of our coworkers, Steve and Jordan. And I kept saying to them, where's the camera? We need a camera. We should be recording this. Because, what do you estimate? There had to be at least, in that group that came over, there had to be at least 15, 20 people.
Oh, absolutely. Just one group on its own.
Which is
and then there was
fascinating.
Us, a group of 4, and then there was another smaller group, I think.
Yep. So, it actually made me really happy to see that many people gathered together for a Pokemon-related thing.
Absolutely. Slightly daunting seeing that many people just kind of crowd into a relatively small park out of nowhere. Not even in the park, just on the corner of it. But, it was still just very... It made me very excited for, the lifespan of Pokemon and people's enjoyment of that and Pokemon Go's community around here. It was very almost validating. Sure,
yeah. I think that's a good word to use. And, it's interesting because, I've had experience with Portland, Maine's Pokemon Go community as well, which is so interesting, the difference between the two, because I'm in the Discord for both. And the last Shadow Mewtwo raid day, I was in Maine and kind of lurking on that Discord as well. The way that they do raids, particularly in-person raids, very, very, very coordinated. And you have raid leaders who are specified, and they say here's the gyms that we're going to hit at these times. And then make sure you check in so we know because the max amount of people in a raid is 20. So they need to make sure that there's a first group and a second group if there's too many people, so that if only a few got left out, then they wouldn't be able to do the second raid. So they try to even it out. But it's very much so dropping group 1, dropping group 2, and check in, make sure you talk to us. And it's whoa, that is and compared to Burlington,
that is like militaristic coordinated.
oh my God, it's kind of scary, but impressive too. But what's so funny is like, 2 days ago when we met up at the park with all these people, we did not go and interact with anybody.
Absolutely not. It was very much existing with the community and getting that Mewtwo.
Exactly.
Rather than engaging with the community.
Yes,
fully.
yes. And the funny thing about that is in Portland, they were like, oh, make sure you like check in and tell us you're here and all this stuff. Me and my buddies like stayed in the car just in range and like just jumped in. We were like, we totally screwed up the groups, but we're like, we don't want to talk. We don't want to talk to you. It's like completely defeats the point of like having a Pokemon Go community. But at the same time, it's like, you got to show up in whatever way that you can. And if you don't have the capacity, the ability, whatever the word is, to engage, at least you're there with the community.
Exactly, which I feel is the most important part. Like,
totally.
You're there, you're engaged. You don't have to be super buddy with everyone and talking to every single person, because I feel like that's very nice and accommodating for people that, just generally don't get along too well with other people or don't feel comfortable jumping into big groups of people like that. It's so like nice things like Saturday where we can exist. We all know what we're doing.
Yes.
We're going for the same thing. And then we're going to never like speak or interact hardly again.
It was honestly kind of beautiful. Like, and I was really appreciative of that because, like we didn't have to struggle to be like, oh, are we going to beat it? Like we knew there was 20 people in the raid. And, but at the same time, we're like, we're doing what we're comfortable with, which, I was pleased by. So that was fun. We had a good time. Did you end up with any shinies?
Nope. Not a one. Not a shiny Mewtwo.
Don't even go there, buddy. The great thing about Chris, and I can't remember if we touched on this last time or not. I think we did. Chris is amazing we totally talked about it. It's all coming back to me now. Chris is amazing when it comes to getting Pokemon that he knows others want, and like not being territorial over it and like being willing to trade them. And we're talking about this in a roundabout way because I know the second that he says it, I'm going to, steam is going to come out of my ears. But Chris, what shiny Pokemon did you get this weekend?
Well, you see, when traveling for our second outing of Mewtwo raids, happened to glance upon a balloon on my screen and clicked on it, and it turns out it wasn't purple. It was in fact yellow and blue, and I got myself a second shiny Drifloon.
You know what? I'm happy for you because now when you trade me one, you'll still have one.
You need a Drifloon, don't you?
I do. I do need a Drifloon, but I'm happy to let you have the shiny Drifloon. Oh, you know what I got last night?
What did you get last night?
Not in Pokemon Go, so it's not as exciting. I got another shiny Drifloon in Legends Arceus.
Oh, that's awesome. So now you will have both, at least in one game.
Well, and I had already found a shiny Drifblim, so I had both, and now I have I'm going to just start an army of shiny Drifloons in Legends Arceus because, I'd been playing. And we'll get back on track here in a second, but we haven't yapped at all yet today about what we've been doing. I had been playing Pokemon Sword for the past couple of days and like trying to finish the story and also at the same time like hoping for a shiny, but that's just like not how shinies work in
Sword and
mainline
Shield,
games.
that one, they don't show up in the overworld at all, so...
Oh, even the ones that are in the grass on top? Oh my God, I didn't know that.
No overworld shinies in Sword and Shield. They didn't do that until Legends.
Fascinating.
No, they did that in Let's Go, and then they didn't do it in Sword and Shield.
Okay.
Yep. Did it in Let's Go, not in Sword and Shield, brought it back in Legends, and then Scarlet Violet's back.
That is good to note because I was like, oh, that one's obviously not shiny. I'm not going to encounter it. But, so after a while, I do have a shiny in that game. It's a shiny Wailord, which is like one of the best shinies that I could have in that game. So I'm not complaining. But I was like getting a little frustrated because of how easy it is to find shinies in Legends Arceus, especially with I had the shiny charm. I have a couple of entries perfected. I basically like encounter 2 to 3 shinies every time I play at this point, which is like not normal.
I mean, I wouldn't be complaining. I wish that were me.
Oh, totally.
Legends, so many good ones in there.
So good. But the funny thing about that shiny Drifloon was I had been playing Sword. And so I see the shiny, I drop down and I like just try to like run into it. And I'm like, what? Why am I not encountering this thing?
Just hurting yourself.
Yeah. And I was like, wait a minute. And I was like freaking out. I'm like, I just want to encounter you. And then I was like, okay, calm down. This is a different game. Figured it out. Got him.
See, that's the issue. Not only returning to a Pokemon game after you haven't played it for so long, but also going from one game that is just so different to the other, back into, like, just when you've gotten a hang for the old game, you get into the different one, and then suddenly you almost knock yourself out on a shiny Drifloon.
Totally. And it's like my little rat brain. Like I just like get so excited about one game, and then I remember that there's another game that I could be playing, and I'm like, oh, I want to play that game instead. And then like you said, you just get into the controls enough that you forget the controls of the game that you're about to play again, and there's pandemonium. But something about Sword, and so we'll get back on topic here in a second. One thing that we're going to be talking about today is least favorite characters. And I found 2 characters recently in Sword that have become...
I'm curious on that. Did you finish Sword?
So the interesting thing about Sword is the credits rolled, right?
Yep.
And now there's like a whole other storyline.
And so for whom it may matter, there will be potential spoilers for Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Yes.
Possibly Legends Arceus. I'm trying to think of any other characters I might want to bring up.
Maybe Violet, but I mean, not really any spoilers in terms of that. Just a blanket warning that if you care anything about Pokemon storylines, maybe don't listen or listen with caution.
Yeah, especially when we get into the fails section of this episode. I definitely have something that will touch on spoilers for a game, but we will get to that.
Okay, cool. So yeah, that's a little bit of a teaser. So we'll come back to our least favorites, but I think we should finish our favorites discussion first.
Yes, definitely.
So let's start with movies. If you're down for that.
I can. It's just at the moment, as we were recording this, I have not gone back and watched any of them. So they're still
I haven't
super
either.
fresh, but I have like my
memories of favorites.
I have my go-to favorites.
That's perfect.
So
that's what I want to hear. So Chris, what are your go-to favorite Pokemon movies?
I mean, I might be called basic for this, but I gotta say, like Mewtwo Strikes Back and Pokemon the movie 2000 are absolute classics. Like I know they're the first 2, but the first movie is so good, especially coming to the end scene, that beautiful, like, Mewtwo and Mew have been fighting, Ash gets turned to stone, and then all of the clone Pokemon, like, come together, and it's just very beautiful, and definitely made me cry as a kid.
Oh, same.
And then Pokemon the movie 2000 is just super iconic for me because I always grew up loving Gen 2. Mm-hmm. Even though Gen 3 was like the generation that I technically grew up with, Gen 2 was always it for me. Lugia I always had a soft spot for as a legendary Pokemon. And then so to have the movie, the Pokemon movie 2000 on DVD, I had that for so long. I would watch it on repeat. Like there was a time where it was like almost every day, to the point where like the tune from I think it's an ocarina that she plays is just stuck in my head for the rest of all eternity. But it was just such a good movie and has a talking Slowking, and I love it.
That's right. So, you know, the thing about like remembering movies like this that you like, for me, like I haven't watched in a very long time, and Pokemon the movie 2000, I have 2 lists here. I have like, these are the ones I loved, and then I have these are the ones that I really liked and enjoyed. And Pokemon the movie 2000 was the one that is on my liked and enjoyed list because I didn't watch it that much. I liked it, but not as much as I like I would like you said, watch on repeat. Like I would watch, I've seen Mewtwo Strikes Back a bunch of times, and I remember like I used to have, so I had a lot of these on DVD, and because like at that time, that's the only way that you could really like watch things.
Imagine.
Throwback. But I remember like I had something on my wall, like I had drawn, like I had tried to like draw the cover of that DVD. Really
Make
bad.
your own poster.
Yes,
Love
I
it.
literally did. And so I really liked that one, especially the scene that you mentioned, just incredibly iconic moment in cinema. And for me, I like the movies that I enjoyed, I have like snippets of in my brain. So like, you know, Pokemon movie 2000, like when you say Talking Slow King, I'm like, oh my God, there was a Talking Slow King. Like, but you know, Rise of Darkrai, I think was one of the first ones that I saw because that came out right around the time when I got my first Pokemon game. Mm-hmm. And then I like retroactively like got more of the movies and watched them. And then Temple of the Sea, again, I have vague memories of that one. So I have it on my liked and enjoyed list. But I don't necessarily remember like the plot. And then my last one on my enjoyed list, and in a moment I'll go to the ones that I loved, was Voice of the Forest, the Celebi movie.
Yep.
And there's something about that one that like, and this is why I'm so excited for us to like rewatch these movies and then discuss them.
Oh, for sure. Because
I have these snippets of memories and I'm like, I know there's something with the Voice of the Forest movie that is like vaguely sad. And I think it has something to do with like an old person. But I can't remember anything else. And so I'm like, oh my God, I want to know what it is.
As we're talking about it, it's like Pokemon Voice of the Forest, also Pokemon Forever, that's one of the ones I should have put at one of my favorites now that I'm remembering it, because that is one that I also watched a lot. I think it reran a lot on Cartoon Network or something.
Gotcha. Yep.
But gosh, talking about it and you mentioning different things, I'm remembering and having the movie flash through my head, and just, it is a really good one that I really quite loved. And so I would put that up there with like Strikes
Pokemon
Back
Forever. Who's the main Pokemon in that movie?
Celebi.
Oh, Pokemon Forever is that one too?
I'm pretty sure. I think
So,
Voice
I
of the
don't
Forest
know.
and Forever are the same. It's just a different subtitle.
I see.
I'm gonna double check
Interesting. I like I have this vague like snapshot of like a Celebi in the forest, which is like kind of hilarious because that's just like what the title of the movie is.
Yep.
But yeah, no, these movies are just like so classic, and they continued making movies for a really long time, but I haven't seen many of the new ones.
No, neither have I. I think Pokemon movies I tapped out around the black and white era when they did the first, like, it was like two versions of the movie. Mm-hmm. So like they tried to do what they do with the games with the anime movie, which was odd. It was like in one version they had a ally join them, or maybe it was the same character, but in one version they had a shiny Golurk, in the other version they had a shiny Hydreigon.
Fascinating.
And in one version Zekrom is more prevalent, the other one Reshiram is more prevalent. Regardless, they're both I believe they're both Victini movies.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's about where I tapped out. I think I watched one of them.
Yep.
And I haven't seen a Pokemon movie since. Yeah, because I haven't seen like the new reboot Pokemon movies, Pokemon I Choose You.
Yep, I haven't seen that one.
And I think there was like one or two more after that in that.
Okay, this is kind of an aside, and I do want to say what my favorite like classic Pokemon movies were. Did you ever see Detective Pikachu?
I did. The live
I
action?
never saw that. Is that something I should watch?
I think that would be a great thing if we could watch that.
Yep.
And then get an episode, like sit down and talk, because that was a big
Let me write
movie.
that down.
Being like, first live action Pokemon.
Yep.
Like thing.
Would you call it successful in terms of like, did they do well making it live action?
Yes.
Fascinating.
In my opinion, yes.
Okay.
I'm not biased just because there's a Cubone in the movie.
See, super weird. Like there's certain things where I just like, fall off for a little bit, and it's just like, love Pokemon, like adore it, I'm obsessed with it. But then Detective Pikachu came out. I don't know what year it came out, but it was just like, I just didn't see it.
I believe it was post-pandemic.
Okay. Yeah. So semi-recently.
Yeah.
Did they come out with a second one?
No.
Okay,
no.
so it's just the one.
If you're probably thinking of the games.
Oh yeah, I am thinking of the games.
I don't know if Detective Pikachu has gotten a sequel. I haven't really kept up with that game.
Yep.
I know Detective Pikachu existed, and I know there's a Detective Pikachu on the Switch. I don't know if it's a sequel or not.
Gotcha.
But anyway.
So that maybe we should make that one. That can be either our first or second movie that we watch and then discuss on the podcast.
Detective Pikachu? Oh, I'm very down.
It'll be cool to have you rewatch it and then have me watch it for the first time and then be able to discuss that. So, but we will also rewatch some of the older movies, the classic ones.
Absolutely.
Particularly, so my number one absolute favorite is the third movie, Spell of the Unknown. Did not know that was the title. I
suppose it makes sense though.
Yeah. And, when I was writing my notes a couple weeks back for this, I was looking up the list of movies to be like, okay, which one's my favorite? Like, cause like, I don't know them all off the top of my head, and especially not now. And I saw the name, and then I saw the DVD like cover art, and I literally got chills because the movie is so good. And I really like Entei. I think that is a really cool legendary. And I really like Unknown, like the concept of unknown Pokemon and having them be like the alphabet is just super dope in my opinion.
Yeah. I love it. And because of that, I love it whenever they use Unknown for like their Pokemon Presents. And they
yeah.
Like the most recent one, they did it kind of. They never actually had them spell Pokemon Presents, but they had all the unknowns there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So that's my number one favorite. Like anytime that one I have seen semi-recently, and I've watched a million times because it is just so good.
That's one I didn't watch a ton. I did love that one. Like, I know visually for sure I loved that one. I think, if I remember correctly, it just made me hurt though. Like,
oh my
emotionally.
Gosh.
Like it was just so sweet and painful to watch.
All of these movies, man, they're tear jerkers. Mm-hmm. And like speaking of that, so another movie that I really liked, and this is my last one, was Lucario and the Mystery of Mew. And so I don't remember a lot about this movie. I remember that I really liked it, but I also remember that something really sad happens. Like there's a really sad concept that has to do with the Lucario and his master. Don't remember exactly what it is, which is why I like really want to rewatch it and like
all I remember about that movie is it was something like they're going to a festival or something, and Ash is chosen to be the stand-in for like the Guardian or whatever, like Lucario's old. Like I don't fully remember.
Yep.
It's just that, and I remember the Reggies.
Oh.
Because Reggie Rock has became a meme after.
Okay.
Or at least well after some time, just because of the sound it makes.
Oh, that's funny. See, I didn't remember that they were in that movie. I mostly just remember Lucario and his master.
The three of them are like constly chasing the party.
Fascinating.
They are the driving.
Okay, so you know what?
First, at least.
We're gonna do a lot of rewatching.
Oh, for sure. There's movies to be rewatched. I'll probably like
some of the anime
I've
too.
been thinking about going back to the anime.
Totally. See, the thing about the anime is I watched a lot of it. Don't remember really what seasons. I think I would probably be able to tell based on like supporting characters that I remember.
Oh, I know where I fell off.
Really? When did you stop? See, same with the movies.
I stopped at the black and white anime for a reason that will probably be gone into during the least favorite characters.
Okay. All right. Well,
and from that I've been thinking about wanting to jump back into X and Y.
Yep.
Because I've heard very good things about that and X, Y, and Z.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I haven't been watching a lot of TV lately, and I'm looking for a reason to start again. So I think doing the Pokemon movies and anime is a good excuse. So, I think the movies are great, and we can segue, I think, now. let's finish our favorite characters discussion.
Yep.
Let's go semi quickly through them so that we can discuss our least favorites and then jump into the fails, the meat of this podcast.
Absolutely.
Because I'm very excited to talk about those with you.
Well, in terms of favorites for characters, I'm really simple. Like, I could probably do with a little bit more paying attention to the full story and characters, things going on. But I'm very simple. I'm mostly like design driven. And being that my favorite type is Ghost, a lot of the time it's like the Ghost type trainers. So like, you never played Sun and Moon, so you wouldn't know. But Acerola, she led the Ghost type trial in Sun and Moon. And I just really like her design, like her dress and her hair, and she's all kind of like sweet and spooky at the same time. And I love it. She's great. There is good old Monty from Gen 2, just our first Ghost type gym leader.
Yep.
And just, I mean, very simple design, but I like the colors. I love his gym, especially like Heart Gold, Soul Silver. His design, his updated design looks great. Pretty much for the most part, pluck a Ghost type trainer, and I like them, or like Cynthia, because who doesn't like Cynthia?
Cynthia is a good... See, I was going to put Cynthia on my list because, you know, Gen 4, that's my baby. Like, I love anything to do with Gen 4. And
Absolutely.
so, of course, are they called Champion in that game, too?
Yeah.
Champion. So, I love Cynthia as well, but didn't make my list. My list is kind of sparse. Like, trying to remember people is harder for me, but then like if I like see them, I'm like, oh yeah, that person was so cool. Like, so mine, and I'm with you, Chris. I am all for character design, some storyline based. Like, I feel like my least favorite characters are more based on storyline.
Sure.
And
like with me, when it comes to my least favorites, it's purely driven by, I did pay attention to what they said, and I shouldn't have.
Yep, that's a good point. So like for me, one of my favorite characters that comes to mind first, because I played this game semi-recently, Larry from Pokemon Violet.
Oh, good old Larry.
Literally like such an iconic character, like this bored businessman that wants nothing to do with like any of the battles.
And they have him running double shifts.
Poor Larry. And you know he's not getting paid extra for that.
Nope.
So he's a gym leader and he's part of the Elite Four, which is hilarious. Has that happened in another game?
Not one character within the same game. It has been like we've seen a previous gym leader be Elite Four, like Gen 1 and 2. Koga was an Elite Four member in Gen 2.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. I think like such a cool concept to like have this man be doing 2 shifts and like, you know, he's probably like
Cool concept. He's being forced to work overtime.
I know, poor guy. But like cool character design, cool concept. And like, another favorite from Pokemon Violet is Tulip, psychic type gym leader.
Yes.
Just really, really awesome character design. Love the color purple. Her hair is purple. Like she's got like cute little butterfly, like I don't know what you would call that. Like little like
clips.
I don't know what and I feel like there's like butterfly wings on her shoes or something. Just very like a really cute character design, which is like, psychic can go both ways. Like some are kind of more on the like intriguing, kind of scary side, and some are more like, I like that they made her really cutesy. So that's one of my favorites. Can't go wrong with Gary. Classic Gary. Classic
Smell
Gary.
You later.
Just so like particularly like from the anime, like the original Ash's rival, like
every time he was on screen, you knew it was going to be a good time.
Oh yeah.
Episode.
Oh yeah.
He's got 10 badges. I can't do that in the game.
See, so Gary's epic. And now these ones are kind of like, actually another one that I really like, James of Team Rocket. Such a good character. Just the fact, like, I mean, he's kind of like ditzy and like always getting like, a big memory of him for me is like, I feel like the anime that I watched was like him constantly getting like attacked by his Carnivine, which is hilarious. And just having like Jesse be the brains of the organization was like, awesome to me.
James was always pretty much always abused by his own Pokemon.
Yep.
Like, it was the Carnivine. I think his Cacnea would love to give him hugs. I don't think Wheezing ever. I could be wrong. I think Wheezing was the one Pokemon that never hurt him intentionally. Or, well, I guess Cacnea wasn't intentional, but you know what I mean. Like, didn't have the same kind of quirk.
Right.
And then yeah, he had a Marini later on in Sun and Moon anime too, which that just jumped on his head.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I just really like the whole team, the original Team Rocket like concept with Jesse, James, and Meowth.
I love them so much.
Amazing.
I was so sad when it came out that like all of the OG anime stuff that we knew, like Ash, Team Rocket, all of them were going.
Yeah, it's super. Like, I mean, there's many reasons why I think Pokemon was so successful and lasted for a really long time. There was such a good core concept with those original characters.
Yep.
Ash, Misty, Brock, Team Rocket, Gary, Professor Oak, Ash's mom.
But then the problem you run into is like eventually the characters have to age.
They have to age, and also the audience ages with them.
Yep.
And so
I will say it was quite jarring when going into watching the trailers for the X and Y anime before it first came out, where Ash actually had teeth for once. Oh my God. And it genuinely made him look older. And so a lot of people thought that they were actually going to age him up. And then the first episode came out and they were like, 10-year-old Ash Ketchum.
You know,
my dude, it was in the original anime, they spent 1 year going around the region, going back to Viridian City, and he didn't age.
The whole like not aging concept, like, I mean, this can be applied to like many TV shows, particularly animated shows. I know we're like we are yapping for too long about this. I do want to get to our fails. So really quickly, I liked. Here's the thing: it's N from Black and White.
Yes,
I haven't played.
He was in an odd position. He was effectively one of your, I would honestly say possibly your true rival.
Okay.
Because he was the most like, he was the one that I was actually concerned when I had to fight.
Yep.
Whereas like Charon and Bianca, fine.
The vague memories that I have of N, I really enjoyed that character concept and design. So he made my list.
He's the king.
And then when I first played Sword, I really liked Marnie. Mm-hmm. And now that I picked it back up again, and I'm at a point in the story where like you're spending more time with Pierce. I'm like, I like him too. He's really cool.
I love Pierce, that family. They're just great. I mean, just the whole Team Yell thing, which is what put the worm of this name into my brain, was just, I love that our evil team this generation was just, there's just a bunch of stupid super fans that are getting too rowdy.
Which is like, you know, it's a nice change in pace when it comes to some of the...
I mean, it makes sense with Sword and Shield because they treat the gym battle so much more like a big sporting event.
Which I find, you know, getting back into the game recently in the last couple of days and doing the final battles and defeating the champion and all that, like... Such a cool concept, and like, you know, being able to like and going in with your jersey and like having all these like people like half cheering you on, half cheering the other person on, like it's just really cool. And so I actually really, and you know, Sword and Shield were well received, weren't they?
I believe overall, yeah, there was definitely like it was one of the more controversial games to come out due to the National Dex thing, due to some issues that people had with the graphics.
I see. People always have issues with the graphics in these new games, man.
Yeah.
People hated Legends Arceus. Legends Arceus is top tier to me.
But Legends is absolutely beautiful. And runs probably the best out of most Pokemon games. I think Let's Go might also, but...
And, you know, the thing about the different graphics and stuff, like... Yeah, here's this huge company. They like definitely could do better, like, or take more time to put them out. They each have their own like quirks and like cool things about them. So looking back and replaying these games, it's like well, I was never one to be like, oh, these graphics suck. I'm just like, oh, cool, a new Pokemon game, you know? Because that's just not how I am when it comes to video games, because I don't know enough. I don't know enough about it to be able to be like, these graphics suck. But yeah, so least favorite Pokemon games characters. Let's do this quick. For me, I don't really have any least favorite Pokemon games except for...
I know exactly one that we share.
Yes, this very random, and this was a DS game, I believe.
Oh,
although...
That's not what I was thinking.
Oh, okay, well...
You go ahead.
Okay, the one that I am thinking of is Pokemon, and I might not pronounce this right, Trotze?
Oh, we're talking games right now. Okay, yes.
We do share a least favorite character. But Pokemon Trotze, it's like Candy Crush with Pokemon faces.
Yeah, that's not one I ever played, which I think is for a reason.
And, you know, the only reason I had it was because I got it like right around the time when I got into Pokemon for the first time. So I was like, oh, I got to buy all the Pokemon games, you know, like
consume all the media.
Exactly. And then I was like, what is this? And then like never played it again. Really cute box art, like super cute box art.
For sure.
But that's about it. Do you have any least favorite games?
Least favorite games. Okay, like when I think of the ones that I would put here, I don't actively dislike them is the thing. It's more like I just have such issues with them that it gets me like kind of heated up.
Yep.
But then I'm like, but overall, I'm okay with the game. I would say if I had to put one in, I will say BDSP, Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl.
That did not go over well with people.
Because I still think it's a fun enough Pokemon game, but it's just Diamond and Pearl again, but chibi, and they're trying to make it dramatic with the close-ups in some of the cutscenes, and then with how the game launched with the day one update they had to put out, and don't even get me started on day one updates for video games. But yeah, BDSP I think would be the closest I would put to a Pokemon game that I actively dislike, because there's another one, Pokemon Unite, that I don't hate the game, I hate the monetization.
Now, is this the like League of Legends Pokemon
this is
game?
The MOBA.
Okay. See, I never got in, surprisingly, like, because I was into League of Legends for a couple years back. So when it came out, I remember being, oh, cool. But then I never got into it.
Yeah. The game itself, I find actually quite fun when I sit down to play it and all that. It's just more of a thing that I have to play with friends. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they went over the top in terms of like, is it pay to win?
No, I don't think it's pay to win anymore. There was a point where it was, but good on them for actually fixing that.
Yep.
It's just like they have so much. There's a subscription bundle. There is a battle pass. There is effectively a form of loot boxes. You can just buy skins outright, which some of them are like $40.
Yo, $40 for a skin? Oh my God.
The game itself.
It's a good thing I didn't get into this one.
Yeah, which that was a thing that they introduced later, is kind of slowly, and it seemed like they were just pushing to see what they could get away with.
Okay.
And then just kind of kept going. That could be, I don't know, but the game itself has actually like been fun. So, you know, if you can get by all of that stuff and just ignore it, put it out of your brain, it's pretty all right. But those are the closest I would put to least favorites for games. Gotcha.
Yeah, see, I never played BDSP, which is probably a good thing, even though Pearl is my favorite game.
It's okay. There are good things to it. It's just that, like, it's Diamond and Pearl again.
Yeah. In terms of least favorite characters, we do have a least favorite character that we share.
Yes, we do, and it is from one of the games that we tout the highest out of all the Pokemon games.
Shockingly. We love Legends Arceus. We hate Melli.
Yes, we do. No Melli. No Melli stands allowed.
There was a period of time where I was just like, you know, maybe I could kind of like Melli. Maybe. But I was like, no, this guy's too much of
must have been like half asleep or something.
I honestly, I think I was, because I was like, oh, like it's kind of cool how like highly he thinks of himself. But then I'm like, wait a minute. No, it's not.
I honestly would not mind if he gassed himself up that much if he didn't then also put us down.
Yes. Yep. That's a very good point.
If he would just be feeling himself, that's fine.
Yep.
Pop off, King.
Yeah. But you know, Interesting character design, though, will say. The whole concept of like the Pearl Clan and the Diamond Clan is really cool in that game.
Oh yeah, and I mean I love the getting to see characters that like resemble others throughout. Even though like I forget his name, but your commander, I forget his name. Kamado looks just like Rowan. I mean it's
Yep.
But then at least it's not directly one-to-one Cyrus. We have the other woman who's Silene, the one who's mainly running your expeditions. And all
I really, I could probably put her on my favorites list. I love Silene, especially when you get, I mean, spoiler alert, this whole episode is spoiler alert. But when you get banished from the village and Silene is just like, comes out to help you and gives you her Abra and is like, don't die.
See, I was fully having played 4th gen, I was expecting her to be like the heel turn. I was expecting her to be some kind of antagonist, but she was your one biggest support the entire time, pretty much, besides the professor.
Yep, which was, I wasn't expecting it, and I was really, I was really touched by it.
Yeah,
I was like,
I'm glad they didn't just go for the obvious. Well, her descendant is evil, so she's got to be too, right?
So I appreciated that, and that was that's a good character. And but Melli, man, no, thank you. I was glad when I beat the game. I don't have to like interact with you anymore. I'm glad that I'm glad that it's May that you talk with towards the end to do mass outbreaks and not Melli.
I would be curious to find out if there's anyone in the earlier Pokemon games that Melli is meant to be like a ancestor of.
Yep.
Because like May is ancestor of, there is I forget her name, but there's a girl that you meet in Diamond and Pearl Platinum. It's one of those things where you enter a cave and this character just kind of meets you and joins up with you and you have double battles all throughout the cave.
Interesting.
There was a few instances of like that through the game, and her descendant, May's descendant, is one of them.
That's really cool. See, it's been a long time since I played Pearl, so I don't remember anything about that. But
and another fun fact, I don't know about and here I am again continuing to forget characters' names. The Pearl Clan leader.
Irida?
Irida, yes, thank you. I have no idea who she might be related to.
Some people are speculating May from...
like May, your rival from Gen 3?
Yes.
Only
based on the clothes that she's wearing. And so people are clowning on people on Reddit for suggesting that, because it's like, why would the clothes that they're wearing have anything to do?
I think it's a video game and we should all have fun.
I totally agree with you.
But Adaman, it was after Legends Arceus came out that we actually got his descendant, Perrin. She's in the DLC for Scarlet and Violet.
Oh, no way.
Yep. It's cool. She has this like whole little photo taking mini game thing that you do in the Teal Mask DLC, which is the first half of the DLC that came out for Scarlet and Violet. You go into this like timeless forest area and take pictures of a bunch of Pokemon.
Oh, that's fun.
And then you get something very special at the end that
no spoilers. I need the DLC. I have not played the DLC yet, and I am planning on it eventually when I get my butt around to doing that.
when you start playing though, make sure you start catching Pokemon, because you got to catch 150 to start that side quest. 150 within the Pokedex of that DLC.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway,
they don't make it easy, huh?
Anyway, I would be interested to know if Melli has any descendants or if the bloodline ended there as it should have.
Yeah. Very, kind of a universally hated character, which is interesting. And some people like him, but anyways, my final least favorite characters are a pair. And Chris, I can already tell Chris knows who I'm going to say just by saying that.
I'd like to see the names that I put for them on my notes app before you.
Wait, you have it? You have them in
I've already listed them.
That's hilarious. Yes. So they are from Pokemon Sword and Shield. Let's see what Chris...
At the very bottom.
Sword Nerd and Shield Jerk. Yes, the two characters, my two last least favorite characters are Sword Word and Shieldbert. Who in their right mind decided to make these characters, first of all, and then second of all, to name them Sword Word and Shieldbert?
That hair, though.
The hair is insane.
At least Shieldbert's I can kind of get behind.
Swordward's just chop it off.
No, it doesn't.
It defies gravity.
Maybe they're no. I had a thought a while ago, like maybe they're Melli's descendants, just because they're so insufferable. But Hisui, Galar, it doesn't work out.
I don't want to go too far into talking about them because I have not.
You haven't finished the post game?
I have not finished the post game.
It's also been too long since I've done the post game and all that, so I may not. I mean, I remember generally what you're doing, but
yep. So these two guys, they come in and you return the sword and shield, and then they come and then they take them.
They just claim it.
They're just they're just here, so they're mine now. And Hop's we just returned them.
Well, they're all both right, so.
Just like a shocking character design, crazy names.
Yep. Who names their kids that? You did that on purpose.
Totally. And so I will say the last part. So where I'm at now is you go to the lab and you battle them, and then Sonia's research assistant is like, "I got you the wishing stars, my whatever she calls them," and I'm like, "You unnamed assistant, why would you do that? How could you betray Sonia like that?"
Oh, I vaguely remember this. Like I said, it's been too long, but
and then they go and they Dynamax all the things, and so I'm at the point where I need to go run
around to the gyms.
Yes.
World tour.
I love that those two were also on your list of least favorites, because it's what even are those?
Honestly, I think I had forgotten to put them on there sooner, only because I had tried to remove them from my memory.
As soon as I finish this game, I will do the same, because such a bizarre concept. But yeah, so do you have any other least favorite characters that you want to mention, or do you want to move on to fails?
I think I'm pretty good. It's pretty much just Melli and those two are just pretty egregious.
Totally.
They're the only ones I'd actively say I dislike.
And I think they're definitely designed to be dislikable.
Oh, for sure.
So it's not we're just hating on these people for no reason.
I imagine there's a good amount of people that are probably on our side.
Totally. So we're going to go over a little bit of time here, because we have not even discussed fails, and we've been going for almost an hour, but we have the studio, so we might as well do it.
Much longer.
So I have a decently long list of fails. Chris, I don't know how many fails you have, but I think the best way to do it potentially is back and forth.
Yeah, that works for me. I think I'll kick us off.
Let's do it.
So I didn't want to make this entirely shiny fails, because if we did that, then it'd be too easy.
Sure.
But I do have a couple in here. And to start off with, I'll go with what I consider my first legitimate full odds shiny. Because a long time ago, my parents bought me an Action Replay, and I played Pokemon Diamond with that. I broke it so much. And then funny enough, I managed to find a full odds shiny Bidoof. I had not touched shiny odds at all. But I was I broke this game so much. I'm I don't count it. But so I was sitting in the car. I think me and it was my sister and her boyfriend at the time was driving. And I think it was around October time. We might have been going looking for a pumpkin to go get and carve up. And I was sitting in the back of the truck playing on my DS, playing Soul Silver. I think I was doing a brand new playthrough. And I was walking around and just ran into a shiny Abra that happened to sparkle and glow, and I was so excited. And I screamed in the back of the car. Got told to quiet down, and I chucked a great ball, and then it broke out and teleported away.
No.
And then, that broke me.
That is tragic.
That was painful.
That is absolutely tragic. And you know what? Do you want to know what happened to me last night?
Oh no, what happened? What happened?
So I'm playing Arceus, and I was like, "Oh, I'm going to start doing a shiny Alpha Heracross hunt." And where you load in, check, load out, check, and it the loading screens take time, so it's all this stuff. But then I was like, you know what? There's a mass outbreak in the field lands. I might as well do the Heracross and then do the rest. And so I fly over to one of the question marks, and I hear and see some sparkles. And then I see that they are Abras. And so usually I play this game connected to my TV, which is fairly big, and so I can see pretty well. Well, my partner Jordan wanted to watch an episode of his show on the TV last night. So
It's shiny hunting a clock.
Exactly. I was like, all right, you know what? I love you. I'm going to let you do it. And so I have I'm just using my screen, right? And going from a TV screen to the tiny Switch screen is like brain breaking.
Oh, yeah.
And especially when you're shiny hunting. So I'm like hunched over on the couch, like trying to play, like, because I don't like to play with the controllers on the side. So I have it in the little thing. And I already know that this is disaster. And so like I try to like go down, do a smoke ball or whatever. Pretty much immediately, like the first layer, like all teleport away. Oh, and so I try to catch whatever's left, just like hoping that there's one that's shiny. No, it ran away. And I had kind of resigned myself to it because I'm like, hey, you know what? I'll find another one eventually. But at the same time, I was like, that was the first one that I had seen in all my 153 hours of playing that game. And so I was bummed out. I hate losing shinies. But
it's never fun.
No, it sucks. And so I was just like, man. But then I was like, okay, I want to finish the rest of the question marks. And so I flew over to one and I got a shiny Monferno. So
nice.
Which is like a cool, like purpley red color. So I was like,
nice save.
You know what? At least I'm not going to be fully upset for the rest of the night, because if there hadn't been another shiny, because I was going to be done after that. I'm like, I can't shiny hunt on this tiny little screen.
Oh,
but yeah, that was what happened to me last night, and I was not very happy about that. But
well, shame for the Abra, but I mean, hey, you pulled it back.
I redeemed myself. So yeah, we've both had our Abra fails. I think yours is worse though, because yours was full odds.
I was in so much turmoil. Oh.
Poor young Chris.
Speaking of poor young Chris, poor young Chris really could not catch Pokemon to save his life. Poor young Chris decided it was going to be smart to not save the game before encountering Kyogre in Pokemon Emerald way back in the day on my Game Boy. So I had no idea when the last time I had saved was, but not running through my brain the fact that whenever I did save, it was before Kyogre, so I'd be good. But no, I just encountered Kyogre, and then I did the thing, and, being a little kid, it was a bit tough to whittle it down all the way and keep my mons alive, keep myself in the battle. But I did it, and I kept it on red health for so long, and I did not have anything to paralyze it or put it to sleep or anything like that. I don't think I'd even known to do that at the time. So I then just start chucking Pokeballs and chucking Pokeballs and chucking Pokeballs. And, it's time to go to bed. I plugged in my Game Boy and left it on and just charging. This went on for days.
Oh, no.
This went on for actual days of like the occasional. It's not like I was every waking hour I was on and trying to catch it because I had to go to school and all that. Yeah. So I was only getting a few times where I could pop it open, try and throw a few, and then because of course at some point it'll stay in the Pokeball or I'll run out.
Yep.
I think eventually I did have to like close down the game, restart and all that, and go in at it again, or I didn't catch it at all, and I didn't even think about trying to retry. But regardless, poor young Chris, underdeveloped brain, couldn't catch a big fish.
See, we were talking about this the other day about how like these games have definitely gotten easier over time, and I think that's a good indicator of
because how many times within that would I have gotten a critical capture by that point?
Totally. Yeah.
How many times within that would my Pokemon have survived attacks they shouldn't have, or
So that's a fascinating one. Something I also probably would have done, kept my Game Boy or DS on for many days at a time because I didn't want to lose whatever it was.
Yep.
So let's see. What do I want to talk about? I have a lot, but I think probably what I'll do is I will put all my Pokemon Go fails together into one story. I did a similar thing with my Pokemon, and this is like not really a fail, but kind of a fail in my view. I completely destroyed my Pearl save file with an action replay.
That was me and my Diamond. Yep.
Which I regret so hard because that was my first Pokemon game, loved it to death, and now it's like I have all these like level 100 Pokemon and like, you know, I have these Pokemon that I shouldn't have because I walk through walls and like stuff like that. And it's just like, it takes the integrity out of it for sure. But it was fun at the time. Like I remember the funny thing about the action replay was because like the way that the action replay worked was you would put it into your DS and then it had a slot that you would put the game into. So it was like, at least my action replay that I had.
Yes, yeah.
And so mine eventually stopped working. So like you couldn't put like anything into the top slot. But I figured out a workaround where you put the action replay in, get it like going or whatever, take the action replay out, then put the game in, and it would still work as if you had it in the action replay.
Huh.
Which was young hacker Emily. I should have pursued that path. I would be rich by now. But I can't even touch my Pearl game because it makes me so sad because I just wish that I had never done that.
I somewhat similarly, I feel, yeah, I broke my Diamond kind of in the same way in that save file. For some reason, I don't know why it was this specifically, but whenever I wanted to go to Celestic, or was it Solaceon or Celestic Town? Whichever one had the cave, whichever one had like Cynthia's grandmother, I could not walk down the steps to go towards the cave without the game just freezing and crashing.
No, that's so tragic,
Which,
man.
I mean, I think I'd already done that scene for like I'd beaten the game
right
at that
but
point.
Still,
but it's just for some reason that one spot broke it.
Fascinating. I wonder if those are still around, action replays. Or is that like, was that like?
No, I feel like that's not.
Now it's like mods that people do. You like hack the code or whatever to like be able to cheat in these games.
I'm sure it's still got to be a thing.
Yeah, totally.
But I feel like, I don't know, Nintendo. I feel like that's a thing that Nintendo might try and keep from happening if they can. I don't know enough about all of that. So, but I think we'll probably want to wrap this up soon. So I think I'll do my last one here.
Okay. I'm going to do everything on my list because I am not wrapping this episode until we're done.
All right. Well then, I'll certainly go in with a good one then.
You can do as many as you want because like we can at least do like 15 more minutes.
Well, then how about I move it away from the main line?
Okay.
Shift over to Pokemon Mystery Dungeon.
Ooh.
I've been a big fan of those games since they first were a thing.
Yep.
Especially the Explorers series, so like Explorers of Time, Darkness, and Explorers of Sky. Explorers of Sky is just the best
Such
mystery
a good
dungeon,
game.
and I really want them to remake it for the Switch, please, Nintendo. But Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Time was the first one of those that I had ever played.
Yep.
And I played that game all the way through. I forget what my first, like, what my Pokemon was and what my partner was. But I played that game I played it all the way through right up to the final boss, Primal Dialga. And then I did my first attempt at the final boss fight. And then I did my third attempt of the final boss fight. And then I did like my fifth, sixth, seventh attempt of the final boss fight. I don't know if I could have beaten the final boss if I had maybe gone and done more grinding or gotten different team partner Pokemon.
Yep.
But like whatever I was doing by the time I got to Primal Dialga all the time, like my partners were dead and it was just me and my one partner Pokemon. So I was like, I don't know if I can do this at all. I restarted the game entirely.
Oh.
Specifically, so I forget what I made my partner, but I decided to play as a Mudkip that time around because I was like, well, if I can get ground type moves, Dialga's going down.
Yep.
So I did. I forget what my partner was. Like I said, probably something also better to deal with, but I don't know what it would have been. Anyway, I did beat it on that playthrough, but good Lord, to
to do all of that over again.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It just goes to show that I at least certainly loved the game.
Oh,
then.
totally.
And would still again, Explorers of Sky, please.
The Explorer series is just like such a, talk about a different, mechanics and having to relearn how to play a game, man.
Procedurally generated dungeon crawling.
Oh my gosh.
Pokemon.
Super cool. I played, and we talked about this last time, but I really liked Darkness. That was the one that I played a lot. And I did play Sky. But Darkness I really remember playing that. And just the concept of being a Pokemon is, you can't beat that.
I love it. That's why, kind of why I like stuff like Pokemon Unite and Pokken and even playing as a Pokemon in Smash Brothers. It's just I kind of prefer that.
It's
I'm
cool.
taking control of this Pokemon in an action.
Totally.
In an action sense.
Give me a mainline game where I'm a Pokemon in the grass, just waiting to be caught.
I just want to be a Lechonk eating grass.
Well, they kind of did that with the Violet DLC. You can walk around as Pokemon.
That's true. You have the sync up thing.
I have not bought it, so I have not played it, but I've seen a lot of people do it, and it looks fun. It looks really fun.
Oh yeah, it's cool. I think I ran around as my Annihilate for a little bit.
I will need to get it because I would love to shiny hunt as a Pokemon. That's what most people do because you get more move speed or something. Like if you're running around as a Zapdos or something So, all right, I have one more fail that is not Pokemon Go or Pokemon Sleep related, and then I'll talk about my Pokemon Go fails because there are many. Another Legends Arceus shiny debacle. And this I am in the process very casually of trying to perfect the Pokédex on Arceus because, again, I want to increase my shiny odds, but I also want to just have something to do to keep playing that game. And so I had chose Porygon 2 and Porygon Z to perfect. And I finished Porygon 2, saved the game, and then I'm working on Porygon Z. And in this game, to perfect the Pokédex, you have to use a strong style move so many times. You have to use a specific move so many times, another specific move so many times, defeat them a million times, catch a bunch. Feed them, stun them, scare them away, catch them while they're sleeping. There's all sorts of things that you have to do to be able to perfect a dex. And so at this particular point in time, I was trying to get the moves done. And so I was working on it. I was using Thunder, Shock, whatever attack it was, Tri Attack, all this stuff. And I kept sleeping at the tent to get more health back or PP back, whatever it was. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to fly off this way instead. I didn't see the sparkles. I heard the sparkles.
That's worse.
And this happens to me all the time. I hear the sparkles. I see a group of Starly. I can't tell if any of you are shiny, but I'm going to catch all of you. And then I was like, all right. And then I go down a cliff a little bit. Then I see the actual shiny Starly. And I'm creeping over. I smoke bomb so it doesn't get startled because it's one of those Pokemon like Abra where you make one wrong move, it's going to fly away. Mm-hmm. I get ready to throw a Pokeball. It turns to night. The Starly flies away.
Oh, no.
Because it's a daytime Pokemon. It's one of those ones where it's it gets replaced by Drifloons and stuff like that at night. I lost it because I'm well, actually, I didn't lose it yet because I was okay, the way that this game works, it's guaranteed to be there, right? So I was oh, you know what? I haven't done that much work towards perfecting this Porygon Z's dex since I've saved. I'll just do it again. So I close the game out, go over to where it was. There's no shiny Starly. And I think a little bit harder and I'm I have time changed so many times by sleeping at the tent that that is why the Starly's not there.
Oh.
And so I'm like desperately like sleeping and checking and sleeping and checking. It's not there. It's not there. It's not there. It's not there. I don't know how many times I tried that, but I'm like, over a shiny Starly, bro, that I could probably get a million more of, as I perfected the dex entry for that.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, it's there again. I have no idea how I managed to do that, but I caught it. And the relief that I felt, but I felt so dumb because I'm like, now I have to redo, and I actually haven't like tried to do it again, like to perfect the dex because of
you might get another shiny that decides to
oh my God.
run away.
Because it's just like, I am sad and ashamed at myself that I did that over a shiny Starly, but I am so shiny hungry, like it's not even funny.
All shinies hit. Like when you find them, when you hear that sound, it's like it's go time. It is obsession mode.
Oh, totally. It totally is. So that was my shiny Starly debacle. I was pleased that I actually got it, but definitely not as easy as I thought it was going to be.
Just ask yourself, how would you feel if you hadn't gone and done it and just gotten it?
I would have felt. Well, see, that's right. It's way more rewarding that I had to go over and do all these things and still got it than if I had just caught it the first time around. Because then I'd be like, oh, this is a stupid shiny Starly. I'm like, no, this is a treasured shiny Starly.
But through effort, you put in the work.
Yes, exactly. Chris, do you have any more that you want to mention?
I think, let's see. Yes, I do want to mention one more, just with all the talk around. I think, I'll kind of wrap these two up in one because they're both Legends related. So just, I'll keep tying in with the shiny fails and all that. So there was much more recently, I think like tail end of last year, I was playing Legends and I forget entirely what I was trying to do. I think I was just waiting around for space-time distortions because I wanted like alphas of the starters, and that's the only way you can get them. Is the post-game space distortions. And I was in the Obsidian Fieldlands, and the distortion had popped up, and I was just kind of sitting, waiting around in it, just chilling in the grass as I do. Like I'll go to where the distortion's about to spawn, I will stealth into the grass, and then just wait. And as soon as I start seeing stuff spawn, I'll go over to the other side if that's something that I want, and then wait over there. Not too many groups of spawns in, and 3 things pop up, and one of them is a lime green Ursaring. And I was so jazzed, and I was getting ready to catch it, and then I just, with, brain being in Legends mode, of course, I saved the game prior to interacting with it at all.
Yep.
As useless as that is. Because I went up to it to try, and I think I tried throwing Pokeballs, and then I think a bunch of other Pokemon like had aggroed me maybe.
Oh, yeah.
So I wanted to reset, or maybe like enough Pokemon aggroed and attacked that I just got knocked out right away.
Yep.
That could very well be it. But I feel like I got into a battle with it, which I don't know why I did that if I did, because it's Legends, so I could just chuck a Pokeball.
Right.
But regardless, because I either knocked it out or it's an Ursaring, so it doesn't run away.
Yep.
Something happened that I was like, no, I need to reset the game. And so I reset the game. And then I, in that moment, remembered that space-time distortions do not reset when you save the game.
Yep.
And so that shiny Ursaring was lost forever.
Oh.
Which, such a pain, because I would have loved a shiny Ursaluna.
Oh, my God. Yeah, I forgot that is in the game.
It's a nice red.
The, like, Blood Moon Ursaluna. The space-time distortions, the mechanics of it, frustrating.
Oh, absolutely.
Very frustrating.
Because it's like you have to wait around, I think it's every half hour, there is a chance one will spawn.
And what I didn't realize, and I had been in an area for a while, one starts spawning, and then like if you enter a cave, if you enter anywhere that says like you have to press A and it says enter, it resets the timer for the space-time distortions.
That's evil.
It totally is, because I go in the cave and like there was nothing in there. I don't even know why I did it. Came back out, space-time distortion was gone because it resets it. So that whole mechanic is cool, but also very frustrating. So I feel your pain. And then just attack this in, because Legends, I think, is the most, like, 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 the most
I am not going to go into spoilers because it is the final boss. I'm not talking like catching Arceus. It's before that. I was terrified going into it.
That is an epic fight.
It is a fantastic final boss. Don't get me wrong. It's wonderful. But it took me like 3 tries, and I'm not proud of that. Because I was like, oh, cool. I got through the Pokemon. Oh, there's another one.
Yep.
Oh, there's another one.
Just that whole concept, and like I won't spoil it too because it is like epic, and I didn't get spoiled, and I'm so glad that I wasn't spoiled. Well, I was semi-spoiled. Like I knew something was coming with this character.
Yeah.
But like I didn't realize like what the actual like mechanics of the fight were. So cool, so interesting, and like unexpected if you're not looking at spoilers online.
Yeah. To be fair, game's been out for maybe like 2 years now.
Yeah.
But
So,
I mean,
spoilers are on the table. But,
yeah.
In juxtaposition to how we've been saying, like, games have gotten easier, that fight is not easy.
That fight is not easy.
That is a difficult fight.
And I wonder if it might have come into play with the mechanics of Arceus and how, like, with how the turn order is layered out in this style. And then you get the strong and the weak style moves and all that. But I just love that added layer to it.
Oh, it's so cool.
And just, I'm glad it was like a kind of a not incredibly crushing, but still like for Pokemon, like kind of crushing difficulty. And that's like praise I'd give to BDSP as well, which is their Elite Four. They did well because they had actually competitively built sets. And it's like you can kind of over level and overpower them still, but it's nice that like, it seems at least where it matters, they're really trying.
I gotta give credit where credit's due because I like when it's a challenge, like when and like that's one of the things. Like, I was texting you the other day. I was like, why do I have this random level 100 shiny Zamazenta in my Pokemon box and Pokemon
like
Sword?
Probably something I got wonder traded through one of those bots. It was like, no, it's an event.
It's legit. And then so I was like, I'll put it in my party. And then I was like, I'm gonna try my hardest not to use this Pokemon so I don't feel like I'm cheating. But then like all my other Pokemon would get knocked out and be like, guess I have to. And then just like one shot everybody. Because I like to like be properly leveled, and like that was the thing with Arceus. I did so much just like faffing about and like trying to do the Pokédex complete and like get level 10 on all the entries that I was so over leveled for most of the, including the end fight that we were just talking about. So it wasn't super difficult for me because I was very over leveled. But one Pokemon in particular helped me with that. I think it was Cresselia. I had really good luck using that Pokemon, but yeah, cool. Super awesome fight, and nothing to be ashamed of because people talk about that on the Reddit, the Legends of Arceus Reddit, all the time about how hard that fight is.
Oh yeah, no, it's
and the Arceus fight too.
Oh yeah, no, the Arceus fight. I had to do the restart thing.
Me too.
Where like if I was trying to do a run where I did not,
it wouldn't happen for me.
Yeah, no
way.
That Arceus fight is too much.
Totally, it would take me a while. Like I mean, if I like completely memorized like how to do everything and all the stuff,
for sure, it's totally like doable.
But
it's just like
totally.
I'm okay with hitting my start back from where like my last
same here
fight.
Yeah, no, it's like those people that like do like Nuzlocks. Like
which I have done.
Let's talk about that in another episode because I am interested to hear about that. So for me, I'll transition into my last couple of fails here. They're all related to Pokemon Go, except one, which is Pokemon Sleep. I'll start with Pokemon Sleep first. Love Pokemon Sleep. It's such like a good, like kind of casual game to play. I use my Pokeball Plus to track my sleep. Here's a tip if you play Pokemon Sleep and use a Pokeball Plus. Make sure it's charged when you use it to track your sleep, and when you use a Raikou Incense to track a legendary during the first legendary event. I didn't get screwed over too hard because it still showed up, but my sleep power was like super, super low because it only tracked like 2 hours of my sleep before I died. So that one I wasn't super impressed by. But that was my own fault because I should have just like kept my thing charged. And the Pokeball Plus is also it doubles as a sleep tracker and an auto catcher for Pokemon Go. This next fail haunts me to this day. And this wasn't the auto catcher I was using at the time. I was using a knockoff one that like isn't officially branded or whatever. Still worked. But this was Valentine's Day, not this year, but last year. I went for a walk in the middle of the day on my break, and it was raining, so I was using my auto catcher. And when I came back, I decided to do something that I will recommend Pokemon Go players who use an auto catcher never do. I looked at my journal and I saw that my auto catcher failed to catch a shiny Furfrou. A beautiful black poodle. And literally so tragic. To this day, it haunts me. I think about it all the time.
I'd be done for that day.
Oh my God, totally.
I'd have gone home, taken
Totally.
a nap.
Like, I'm out of here, guys. See ya. And you know, like research breakthroughs lately have been Furfrous for like the past, like, I don't know, like months, year, whatever. Every time I see one and every time it's in the wild and I see that it's just a non-shiny, I'm like, I get reminded. I get reminded of what could have been, and I get very upset. So do not look at the journal if you use an auto catcher. Do not make my mistake. It's better to not know than
Save
to
yourself
know.
the suffering.
Exactly. Couple more Pokemon Go fails. I once thought I caught a shiny Shadow Aaron, however you want to say it, because the shadow Pokemon, Chris is laughing at me. All shadow Pokemon in Pokemon Go have red eyes.
And so does shiny Aeron.
So does shiny normal Aaron. And so I literally, like, my heart's pumping. I'm like, oh my God, it's a shiny. Oh, wait a minute. It's not a shiny. There's no sparkles.
Oh.
So that was a little embarrassing. And that hurt as well. And then this is like a semi fail on like my part though. Like I spent this is before they put a limit on remote raids, how many remote raid passes you could do, or how many remote raids you could do in a day. Like I did like 50 plus Rayquaza raids in one day to try to get a shiny Rayquaza. None. I still don't have one. Like such an upset. And it is actually in my benefit now that there's a limit on remote raids because I can't just spam trying to get a shiny through raids. Cause it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
No.
And let's see. This one's kind of funny, and I told Chris about this the other day. But you know, we're in staff meeting, and I'm playing Pokemon, and this was when Flabébés were in the wild, and so you can always get a yellow Flabébé in North America. White and orange are more rare. Blue and red you just can't get unless you're in the regions that they spawn in. Yeah. I open the game. I see a white flower Flabébé here. Oh my God, I don't have one of those yet. Go to click on it. Immediately the game goes update to continue. And I'm at this point right now where I don't have like any space on my phone. So I can't just update the game. I have to like frantically like delete apps to update the game. And so I'm like,
and whatever can be sacrificed.
Exactly.
For the greater good.
And at this point I'm on the edge here. Like I need to do some more deep diving. But so I do it as quick as I can, quick as I can. And so this was not a total fail because it was still there when I updated my game. But the fact that the timing on that was like that was cruel. Thank you, Niantic. I hate you.
Purpose.
They totally did it on purpose.
For you.
Totally. And one of my final, this one is just kind of like an overall fail. Like, just don't play the game when you're a passenger in the car and going any faster than 30 miles per hour. Because one time I was driving home from Maine. Well, I wasn't driving. My partner Jordan was driving, and I was being a pain in the butt the whole time because I was like, you gotta slow down. I need this shiny. Like, because anytime I clicked on a shiny and tried to catch it, it would immediately break out because you're going over the speed cap. It doesn't matter if you're a passenger or not. And so this was not a fail though. That whole time I was like, I need a shiny Heracross. I need a shiny Heracross. It's such a good pink. We're in Montpelier, and I happened to look at the game. And you know, sometimes when you have a Pokemon spawn on an instance, and it will, even though you like drive past, it'll stay.
Back. Yeah.
It'll stay. I click on it. It's a shiny Heracross. I lose my goddamn mind because every shiny I've encountered in the car on that trip has ran. So I'm like freaking out, and we're at a point in Montpelier where it's like we're in like there's no place to pull over, and so I just have to do it. And so I threw the ball. I caught it.
Let's go.
That is probably like my most treasured Pokemon.
Oh yeah, that's probably the one in the gym right now.
That is the one in the gym right now. That's my flexing Pokemon. Chris and I mean, it's so funny because like the people who play Pokemon Go at this office, some are blue, some are yellow, and one is red. And we kind of go back and forth on who takes over the gym. And I try to be fair about it. I try to not do it all the time, but I also want to work on my gym badge.
No, it's on site.
Chris, it's on site. You're out of here. I'd say my final one is using my Master Ball on a Galarian Zapdos that has terrible, terrible stats. But here's the good thing about that. I can lucky mirror trade with somebody that has Galarian Zapdos to guarantee better stats.
Yep.
So I feel less bad about myself. But I panicked to use my Master Ball.
Yeah. But you couldn't have known the stats, and it's like those
No.
things, they only appear via the daily incense.
But that was my first Galarian bird I had seen.
At least you didn't use a Master Ball on a Magneton.
Oh, Chris, you gotta say it. We have time for one more fail. I gotta hear it.
So I was much younger, like to the point that for some reason my dad was also like on the side occasionally, like grabbing my Pokemon games just to play for a bit. Like, I don't know why. I mean, I didn't care. It was cool. But he had actually been playing for a good bit on my Fire Red game. And then when I picked it back up, I was like, oh, I have a Master Ball. And I'm like near the power plant, whatever. So I wanted to go in and just look around and just... And I ran into, there's a rare spawn in the power plant in Fire Red is a Magneton you can find. Kind of like Doug Trio in Diglett Cave. I'm like, oh, cool, this is really neat. I found a rare spawn in the wild. I can't totally just evolve a Magnemite that I catch. Gotta try my best to catch it. And I was throwing Ultra Balls, trying to catch it. And I lowered it down, and I'm not catching it. It's breaking out of everything. Master Ball. I was so proud of myself that I got a Magneton. Oh, poor young me. Young, misguided Christopher.
See, you didn't know any better. You just wanted the cool Magnemite. The three-guy
cool
Magnemite, right?
Pokemon.
I never did anything like that, though that is something very Emily coded. Like, I would totally do that. But... I see, I don't blame you, because like the other day I got a Master Ball and Sword, and I looked it up. I was like, what do I use this on? Like, I mean, because like you don't necessarily like, there's nothing you need to Master Ball like in a game like that.
Yeah.
And people were saying like, oh, like I used it on like, shiny Beldum. I used it on a normal Beldum.
Honestly, Beldum is like a good one to do it on because of the catch rate.
Yep. So it's just like, and some people, you know, this is a good point to end it on. A lot of people, and just a highly disproportionate amount of people that I've seen on the Reddit, the Pokemon Go Reddit, have used their Master Ball on a shiny Bidoof, because that Pokemon is known as God. And we will go into that more in a meme episode.
Oh, yes. We have an episode dedicated to Pokemon meme culture.
Yes. But... I have to say, it's impressive that they committed to the bit. You would not catch me dead using a Master Ball on a shiny Bidoof. I did get one the other day, used an Ultra Ball, but I knew it was going to stay in. I was stationary. I wasn't moving. I didn't need to use my Master Ball. But it's pretty epic to see somebody use a coveted Master Ball on a Bidoof. So, Chris... you know what? This was a good episode.
I'd say so too.
I enjoyed hearing about your favorite movies and talking about our least favorite characters and the fails, man. You can't go, like, the fails, we could have gone on forever because as much wins as are in Pokemon, there's twice as many fails.
And I'm sure there's plenty more that, like, in my time of playing, there's been worse, probably worse even than what I talked about. But that
You've erased it from your memory.
Yeah, probably.
So yeah, this is a good one. This was episode 2 of Team Yap, the Pokemon podcast, April Fool's edition. Stay tuned in the coming weeks for episode 3. We have not discussed what episode 3 will be yet. Potentially, we could do our special video episode where we open packs, build models, show off our figurines.
That could be a very interesting way to continue.
I think so, but we also have plenty more to talk and yap about. We might even discuss a movie that we watch. So
you'll just have to stay tuned to find out.
Exactly. So thanks for tuning in, and until next time, keep on playing Pokemon.
Thanks for listening.